They say love doesn't always knock loud. Sometimes it just slips in and stays. I'm Alex LeMan. These stories, they're about that kind of love. Tender, tangled, a little messy, but always real. So, settle in and let your heart listen. Love from the Left Behind. Chapter 1. Nobody picked her up. Girl, move. The clerk swung the metal shutter down with a bang that made everybody at Manny's corner store jump. Rain pounded the broken neon sign, turned the sidewalk into a slick mirror of streetlights, and soaked little Imani right through her threadbare hoodie. She didn't budge. She hugged a scuffed purple lunchbox to her chest like it kept her heart from falling out. A lady in a plastic poncho hissed under her breath, "Lord, that's Miss Tasha's baby. I knew that fool would leave her one day." The poncho rustled as the lady hurried to her car. Nobody offered a ride. Nobody asked her name. Imani's toes curled against the freezing concrete. Water trickled between them, carrying cigarette butts and gum wrappers downhill toward the busted storm drain. She watched the trash swirl away and wondered if people could wash away just as easy. Behind her, a horn blared. Headlights splashed dirty light across her face. The driver leaned out, eyes hard. "Kid, you standing in traffic." Then he rolled on, bass thumping, tires slicing a wave across her ankles. Up 3 blocks, in the flickering hallway of Green Street Terrace, Aunt Patrice's voice crashed through peeling walls. "Child protective what? Nah, y'all listen. My niece walked out. I ain't responsible if she got sticky fingers and ran off." Smoke from her menthol trailed lazy ghosts across a bare bulb. She stabbed the cigarette at invisible faces. Her mama chose the streets over that girl. Now the streets can keep her, you feel me? She slammed the door. The frame shook, but her conscience didn't. Back outside, thunder rolled low, like it was tired of warning Jackson. Imani flinched, then caught herself. She pressed her lips together so they wouldn't tremble. A bus hissed to a stop beside her. Warm air from its brakes kissed her shins. Folks piled off, laughter, perfume, French fry grease, life bursting beyond the doors she dared not enter. A teenage couple brushed past. The boy's jacket umbrellaed the girl, and their shoulders bumped in a rhythm that made Imani's chest ache. She stared until they blurred into taillights. The clerk from Manny's stuck his head back out. "Little girl, go home." He frowned, but his eyes slid past her, searching for cops or liability. She waited for him to soften. He shut the shutter and locked it twice. Inside, the cooler hummed like nothing was wrong with the world. Imani pressed her lunchbox to her ear the way other kids pressed shells at the beach. Inside, broken spoon, pebble like a star, rubber band. These weren't toys. They were promises she made herself. Keep breathing, keep moving. Don't let the rain drown you. She whispered, "We still here." Her voice sounded too small, so she said it again, louder, until it felt true. A stray dog slunk from behind the dumpster, ribs showing, eyes shining with the same scared hunger she felt. Imani crouched, stretched out her hand. The dog sniffed, then backed away. Even strays knew better than to trust. She let her hand drop and watched him vanish into the alley's shadow. Wind cut between the boarded-up barber shop and the liquor store, carrying a faint gospel chord from someone's busted radio. Imani followed the sound, drawn like a moth. The church across the avenue glowed gold behind stained glass. Voices inside rose with the organ, singing about shelter and mercy. Her pulse quickened. Door open, warmth spilling out. She took one step toward it, then stopped. Aunt Patrice's threat echoed. "Don't you dare show your face at that church beggin'. Folks got enough pity to drown in." Shame coiled around her feet, tighter than the cold. A city bus roared by, splashing muddy water up her shins. She gasped, then laughed, a cracked, unexpected sound. If the world wanted her gone, it had to try harder. She wiped her legs with her sleeve, turned east, and started walking. No plan, just motion. Rain washed grit from the blacktop, carried neon reflections downstream. Streetlights stretched her shadow long and thin, like the night tried to pull her back. Ahead, the railroad underpass breathed rust and diesel. The concrete tunnel echoed with distant freight, a metallic heartbeat that promised somewhere else. Imani's stomach twisted, half fear, half hope. She clutched the lunchbox tighter. "We still here," she repeated, voice steady now. Each syllable drifted upward, patted by the rain, swallowed by thunder. Then she stepped beneath the underpass and disappeared into its dark, taking the night's secrets with her while Jackson kept pretending it never saw her at all. Chapter 2. The Lunchbox and the Trash Can. Morning came slow, burning off the night's rain and leaving the city streets of Jackson sticky with heat and bacon grease. Imani woke to the hiss of a busted HVAC unit behind Deshawn's Fade Factory. Cardboard had been her mattress, the concrete her blanket. She blinked, tasted rust and stale smoke, and for half a second forgot why the air smelled like an old iron skillet. Then her belly growled, and memory snapped back like a rubber band. She sat up, clutched the purple lunchbox, and whispered, "We still here, remember?" The box felt heavier than yesterday. Broken spoon, pebble, rubber band. But its weight also told her she hadn't quit. Trash day in Jackson was a whole sermon. Trucks rumbled down Greenwood Avenue, jaws clanging, crows circling like they knew secrets people tried to bury. Imani followed the noise, staying low behind parked cars. On Maple Street, she spotted a half-crushed carton of orange juice leaking into the gutter. She sniffed it. Sour. She let it go. Survival wasn't just grabbing anything, it was learning what pain you could afford. A block later, she saw him. Andre Blue Coleman, 18, part-time dishwasher, full-time dreamer, leaning against the back door of Moe's Diner with a cigarette he pretended to enjoy. He had eyes like midnight stories, and a laugh that made girls forget their problems. But this morning, he looked wrecked. Missed the bus, late for work again. When he flicked the cigarette away, it landed near Imani's foot. He never saw her. She watched him push through the kitchen door, heard the cook yell, "Boy, you punching in or you planning to dance?" Imani felt a tug. Some piece of her wanted to follow that laughter, to borrow it for a minute. But doors like that weren't made for girls with rain-stuck hair and no address. She kept moving until the smell of deep-fried hot dogs wooed her off course. Outside Levi's bar, the dumpster sat cracked open, steam curling from yesterday's sins. She held her breath, scaled a milk crate, and peered inside. A full hot dog, still in its bun, glistened like treasure. Before doubt could bark, she reached, snagged it, and hopped down. The ketchup was sticky, the bread soggy, but hunger kissed pride goodbye. One bite, salt, joy, relief, then footsteps, big ones. "Who there?" A deep voice, like the bass line of an old blues record, rolled around the corner. Levi himself. Rumor said he once boxed semi-pro. His fists sure sounded heavy. Imani froze, chewing slow, pulse sprinting. Levi's shadow stretched across the alley, thick as twilight. He grumbled, "Dang raccoons," kicked the dumpster and stomped back inside. The door slammed. Imani let the breath out of her chest, then whispered, "Thank you, raccoons," and wolfed the rest of the hot dog. She licked ketchup off her fingers, every nerve humming with borrowed courage. The sun climbed higher, turned brick walls into griddles. She ducked into a narrow walkway where vines tore at chain link. There she found a pebble shaped like a crooked star. She rolled it between her fingers, felt its sharp edges, and smiled. A star ain't perfect, she thought. A star just gotta shine. Into the lunchbox it went beside the spoon and band. The clang felt good, like a heartbeat. By late afternoon, the neighborhood shifted moods. Church ladies in wide hats drifted from Bible study, fanning themselves and gossiping gentle. One called over, "Baby, you lost?" Imani didn't answer. She had learned that curiosity often cost more than silence. She slid behind a magnolia, waited till the voices faded, then crossed into Carter Park. The swing set groaned under the weight of a lonely breeze. She climbed to the highest slide, tucked her knees, and stared at the sky through rusted rails. Clouds drifted like slow-motion ships, and for a fragile minute she pictured her mama steering one back to shore. The thought hurt too sweet, so she let it drift. Dusk painted everything gold. Lights flicked on in second-floor kitchens where families argued about homework and reheated mac and cheese. Imani traced those windows with her eyes, but only for a breath. Longing was a trapdoor. She rose, dusted gravel from her shorts, and followed the smell of barbecue coals down Fourth. A man in an Eagles jersey scraped char off his grill, singing low. When he stepped inside for sauce, a piece of cornbread toppled to the grass. Imani darted, grabbed it, and slipped into the shadows. Her heart slammed her ribs like wild drums. She bit the bread, a sweet, smoky home, and nearly cried. Night settled deep, the heat finally breaking. Cicadas tuned their instruments. Imani, curled beneath the back stairs of an abandoned duplex, laid the lunchbox beside her, and counted treasures like blessings. Spoon, star pebble, rubber band, hot dog memory, cornbread crumb wrapped in a leaf. She pressed her palm over the lid and promised, "Tomorrow, we gonna find something prettier." Above her, lightning flickered without thunder, soft as a secret. She closed her eyes, let the world hum, and drifted toward a sleep thin as a tissue paper, but sleep all the same. In the darkest hour, a stray cat padded by, tail flicking. It paused, studied the girl with the lunchbox, and meowed, soft and puzzled, as if asking, "Why you out here alone?" Imani did not wake, yet she smiled in her dream, for in that moment even a cat's curiosity felt like proof she still mattered, and the lunchbox, heavy with scraps and silent vows, waited for dawn to test them. Chapter 3. She wasn't a ghost. She was a mirror. "Yo, y'all see that little zombie girl again?" The question snapped through the humid afternoon like a wet towel. Two high school kids, Lamar and Shonda, leaned against the front of Spin City Laundromat on Medgar Street, trading fries and gossip. Imani froze on the sidewalk. Lunchbox hugged tight, head down. She hadn't meant to wander this close to people. She just wanted water from the cracked spigot behind the building. Lamar laughed, a sharp bark that stung more than the sun. Shorty looked like she crawled out a grave. Shonda nudged him. "Hush, go help her, clown." Help her with what? She might bite. Their bickering bounced off plate glass windows, echoing Imani's heartbeat. Inside the laundromat, rows of humming dryers glowed orange. Imani drifted between them, drawn by the heat and the sweet scent of fabric softener. She pretended the whirring drums were oceans pulling her somewhere safe. But mirrors lined the back wall, and one careless glance shattered her daydream. The reflection caught her off guard. Wild hair matted like storm clouds, cheeks hollow, eyes too old for 6 years. She flinched. That face belonged in ghost stories, not in the same glass that showed shoppers folding pastel towels. Shame flooded her. She lifted a hand, touched her cracked lips, and whispered, "That ain't me." Yet the mirror didn't lie. A dryer buzzer screamed. A stack of fresh shirts toppled off a table at Imani's feet. She scrambled to grab them. Static popped. Warm cotton brushed her skin. Comfort she hadn't felt since Mama's Sunday hugs. The owner, Mrs. Hazel, rounded the corner. Silver curls framed a stern face, but her eyes softened when she saw Imani folding shirts with tiny, unsheer fingers. "Baby, where your people at?" Imani's voice hid behind her ribs. Mrs. Hazel sighed, scooped up the shirts, and slipped 2 quarters into Imani's palm. "Get you something cold at the vending machine. Sugar keeps kids shining." Imani nodded, speechless. Neon soda hissed alive in her hand. First real drink in days. Bubbles burned her throat like bright hope. Across the street, Andre Blue Coleman rushed out of Moe's diner, apron untied, waving his paycheck. His girl, Naya, eyelashes sharp enough to slice steel, waited by the curb. "Blue, you late again," she teased. He grinned. "Told the boss I'm worth the wait." Their banter skipped like stones across water, all flirty sparks and hidden worries. Imani watched, sipping soda slow, wanting to bottle their laughter next to her treasures. Then Naya's phone rang. Her smile fell. "My mom's clinic got robbed, again." Blue's jaw clenched, softness turned to steel. He pressed the check into her hand. "Take it, fix the window." "But that's your rent," she argued. He kissed her forehead. "Windows before rent. A roof don't matter if you can't see tomorrow." Love showed itself in broke pockets and bold choices. Imani felt the lesson settle in her chest like warm bread. Sirens wailed 2 blocks south. Shonda and Lamar scattered. People spilled from storefronts, chasing the sound. In the chaos, a pickpocket brushed past Naya, snatching Blue's empty wallet. Imani saw it happen. Reflex fired, she sprinted, bare feet slapping pavement, lunchbox clanging. The thief darted through alleyways, but hunger had trained Imani to move silent and swift. She cut him off near the railroad fence, swung her lunchbox like a hammer, and cracked his knee. Wallet flew. The man cursed, limped off. Imani snatched the wallet, heart drumming tribal beats. Blue and Naya arrived breathless. "Kid, you wild!" Blue laughed, relief dripping from his voice. He knelt, met her gaze. "Thank you, little warrior." Nia slipped a 20 into Imani's pocket. "For new shoes," she whispered. Imani blinked hard. Gratitude felt like rain in the desert. Blue noticed the lunchbox dents. "What you got in there, Rox?" Imani nodded. "Memories." He hesitated, respect blooming in his dark eyes. "Keep 'em safe." Behind him, mirror-bright windows of the diner reflected Imani with them. 3 figures stitched together by chance. For the first time, she didn't flinch. Maybe she wasn't a ghost. Maybe she showed people who they were willing to be. Evening slid in, painting the sky bruised purple. Mrs. Hazel stepped outside, saw Imani slipping away. "Where you heading, baby?" Imani pointed east toward the dimming sun. "To the place life changes." Hazel shook her head, half smile, half worry. "The world gonna see itself in you one day. Don't let it scare you." Imani tucked the 20 deep in her sock, added a shiny washer from the laundromat floor to her lunchbox, and walked on. Behind her, Blue's laughter tangled with Nia's shaky sigh. Ahead, streetlights sparked alive like breadcrumbs guiding her forward, and somewhere inside, the broken mirror image began stitching itself into something brave, because she realized mirrors didn't judge, they revealed. And if a scared little girl could make a thief run, maybe she could make the whole damn city look at itself and choose better. She turned the corner, whispering to her lunchbox crew of stones and soda caps, "We still here, and now they see us." The night answered with a warm breeze that smelled like fresh dryer sheets and distant barbecue, and Imani believed, just for a heartbeat, that tomorrow might taste like sugar instead of rust. Chapter 4. The Secret in Her Box. Ticket to Chicago, one way, $42. The clerk barked through a greasy microphone. The words slapped Imani like cold water. She stood outside the Jackson Greyhound terminal, hidden behind a pillar plastered with faded gospel concert flyers. Diesel smoke curled around her knees, buses coughed, and people shuffled past dragging suitcases that rattled like tambourines. She gripped her lunchbox so tight her knuckles whitened. $42 was a mountain. All she held was a 20, 2 crumpled singles, and a pocketful of maybe. A preacher in a shiny suit hollered near the curb, "A seed don't fear the dark, 'cause it knows the sun keeps receipts." Folks laughed, tossed coins in his bucket. Imani's stomach twisted. She thought about slipping her hand inside that bucket, but the lunchbox bumped her leg, reminding her who she was trying to be. A thief once, a mirror later. Today, she needed a miracle. She drifted through sliding doors into a lobby that smelled like cheap coffee and heavy choices. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, making everyone look tired and truthful. On a cracked plastic bench sat Mrs. Hazel, the laundromat queen, fanning herself with yesterday's newspaper. Her suitcase, plaid and sturdy, rested at her feet. Imani's pulse skidded. If Hazel saw her, questions would flow, pity would follow, and pity had a price she couldn't pay. She ducked behind a vending machine taller than hope. From that hiding spot she watched Blue and Naya burst through the entrance, arguing soft but fierce. "I'm coming with you," Naya insisted, braids swinging. Blue shook his head. "Your mama needs you in Jackson. I'll send money once I land the studio gig." His eyes flicked to the departure board like it promised salvation. Naya's voice cracked. "You think music gonna fix us?" Blue cupped her face. "Nah, but love might. Let me try." Their kiss cracked open the room. Commuters pretended not to stare. Pain and passion mixed in the air thicker than diesel. Imani swallowed it like medicine. She slipped toward the ticket line, every step a dare. The clerk's window glowed red. Her turn came too fast. She laid out her $22. "Half to Chicago?" The clerk smirked. "Little girl, this ain't no layaway store." Her cheeks burned. A security guard eyed her, thumb tapping his belt. Imani scooped the bills, heart hammering, and scurried away, tears threatening but refusing to fall. Outside, night stormed in sudden and loud. Thunder cracked like God-breaking bones. Rain stabbed the pavement, chased travelers under awnings. Imani ducked beneath the overhang and opened her lunchbox, seeking counsel from her treasures. Broken spoon, star pebble, rubber band, shiny washer, soda cap, cornbread crumb now wrapped in tissue, and that $20 bill. At the bottom, folded so many times the edges blurred, lay Mama's slip of paper. 4 words, "Find Auntie Rose, Chicago." Imani traced each letter while rain drummed overhead. That was the secret she never told. Chicago wasn't escape. It was a family she'd never met, a chance to trade memories for real arms. A low whistle cut through the downpour. The preacher in the shiny suit now leaned against the pillar beside her, hat tipped low, eyes kind. "Storm's loud tonight, huh?" She nodded. He glanced at the lunchbox. "What you guarding in there, baby girl? Looks heavier than sin." She snapped it shut, shaking her head. He didn't push. Instead, he slipped 2 bus tokens into her palm. "Even prophets catch rides," he winked. Then he turned, hollering a new sermon to the lightning. "Faith ain't blind, it just sees different." Imani stared at the tokens. Not tickets, but worth money at the pawn kiosk inside. She dashed back in, shoes slapping puddles. At the kiosk window, a bored clerk popped gum. Tokens for cash, $15 each. $30 appeared like dawn. Added to her 22, it made 52, 10 over the magic number. She nearly screamed. Ticket clenched in her fist, she spun and smacked straight into Mrs. Hazel. The older woman steadied her, eyes narrowing, then softening. "You running from trouble or toward it?" Hazel asked. Imani's throat locked. She lifted the lunchbox, opened it just enough for Hazel to see the paper at the bottom. Hazel read the words, tears fogging her glasses. "Rose is my baby sister," she whispered. Shock cracked them both wide open. Destiny had been folding napkins in a laundromat all along. Hazel pressed her suitcase handle into Imani's tiny hand. "Take it. Clothes will fit after a wash. And when you reach Chicago, tell Rose Hazel still prays too loud." The departure board blinked, final call. Imani hugged Hazel quick, then bolted for gate 3. As she climbed the bus steps, the driver teased, "That lunchbox got cookies?" She smiled. Just stories. Rain tapered to a hush. The engine rumbled like distant drums. Imani took the window seat, pressed her palm to the glass, and watched Hazel's silhouette shrink but never fade. When the bus pulled onto the interstate, moonlight spilled over her lap. She opened the lunchbox once more, slid the cornbread crumb under the spoon and placed the ticket stub on top like a crown. Then she closed it and whispered, "We still here, but we ain't staying." Diesel growled. The road unrolled like ribbon, and young hearts across Mississippi felt a tug they couldn't name, because a little girl with a heavy box had just proven that secrets, when carried with courage, could turn into wings. Chapter 5. The Man with the Guitar. The Greyhound rolled through midnight Alabama, windows rattling like coins in a jar. Imani couldn't sleep. Diesel breath seeped through the vents, mixing with the sweet-sour smell of snack food and nervous dreams. She clutched her lunchbox on her lap, thumb tracing the latch every time a pothole jarred the aisle. Around her, strangers floated between dozing and worry. A grandma whisper-praying, a soldier FaceTiming someone who kept crying, and up front, seat 2A, an old man cradling a beat-up guitar like it was life support. The bus hissed to a stop at a roadside station outside Birmingham. Fluorescent lights flicked on, too bright, too honest. 15-minute break, the driver barked. Doors sighed open. Folks shuffled into the night, stretching spines and checking phones that still had no bars. Imani slid out last, feet bare inside borrowed sneakers 2 sizes too big. Pavement felt warm, even after dark, hanging onto the day's heat the way she hung on to hope. The old man sat on a picnic table near a busted Coke machine. Moonlight silvered his gray beard. He strummed a lazy blues line low enough to make crickets hush. Imani drifted closer, hypnotized. He didn't look up, he just spoke like he already knew her. "Little sister, you walk heavy for somebody so light." She blinked. "Sir? That box in your arms sound louder than my guitar." He nodded at the lunchbox. Imani hugged it tighter. "It's just stories. Stories can weigh a soul down. Let me show you something." He flipped the guitar, tapped 3 bullet holes patched with tape. "People tried to quiet me. Didn't work. Holes made the song breathe different." He strummed again. The notes sighed through the wounds, raw and sweet. Imani felt tears rising, embarrassed. "I'm not supposed to cry." "Who told you that lie?" "Everybody." He chuckled, but it came out broken and gentle. "Tell you what, crying ain't weakness. It's proof water still in the well." He played a riff that tasted like brown sugar and goodbye. Passengers drifted over, drawn by the sound. Among them, a young couple. Jamal in a Chicago Bulls hoodie, and Kayla with honey braids, stood holding hands. Jamal whispered, "Play us a love song, old head." The man slid into a slow groove. Kayla laid her head on Jamal's shoulder, and for one fragile minute the parking lot felt like Sunday morning. The old man finished, turned to Imani, and pulled a worn guitar pick from behind a tuning peg, mother of pearl, edges smoothed by decades. "You keep this. When the world gets loud, scratch your own tune on it." Imani's fingers shook, taking the pick. "Why give me your only one?" "Because music starts small, a hum, a heartbeat, a girl brave enough to listen." He winked. "Plus I got 10 more. He patted his pocket. The driver's horn blared, folks groaned, climbed aboard. Jamal pressed a packet of peanut butter crackers into Imani's palm. "Little sis, stay strong." Kayla added a pink friendship bracelet. Words tangled in Imani's throat. She nodded fast, climbing the steps. Back in her seat, engine rumbling, she opened the lunchbox. Spoon, star pebble, rubber band, washer, soda cap, crumpled bills, cornbread wrapper, ticket stub, Mama's note, guitar pick. She set the pick on top, tiny moonlight shard glowing. The bus lurched forward, radio crackling an old soul ballad. Rows of telephone poles strobed past, their shadows stitching the night into chapters. A sudden bang, tire blowout, rocked the bus sideways. Screams flared, then quieted as the driver eased onto the shoulder. Flashers lit the cabin red, throats tight with what-ifs. Imani's heartbeat slammed her ears, but the pick in her hand felt steady, cool. She closed her eyes, hummed the old man's riff under her breath. Passengers calmed, fear melting into hums and half-smiles. Kayla squeezed Jamal's hand. The soldiers stopped shaking. Even the driver sighed. Outside, wind ruffled roadside weeds like a choir warming up. 20 minutes later, a replacement bus arrived, all of them boarding safe. As they pulled back onto I-65, the old man lifted his guitar in salute through his window seat. Imani flashed the pick. A silent thank you louder than words. She leaned against the cool glass, lunchbox on her chest, and finally let tears slide free, quiet pearls glistening in the dashboard glow. Each tear felt lighter than the last, as though the box had shared its weight. She whispered, "We still here," then added something new. "And we got a song." The tires hummed harmony, the highway stretched north like a promise, and the night sighed, satisfied, knowing a 6-year-old girl had turned sorrow into soundtrack and strangers into chorus on the long road to daylight. Chapter 6. The Box and the Bus. The Greyhound hissed into Chicago at first light, tires crying against wet asphalt as though they knew everybody on board carried a secret. Imani jerked awake, cheek stuck to the fogged window, heart sprinting before her eyes could focus. Skyscrapers stabbed pink clouds, and Lake Michigan glimmered like a steel drum beyond them. She hugged the lunchbox, whispered the ritual. "We still here." Morning commuters shoved past, headphones roaring, but none of them knew a 6-year-old miracle just rolled in, wearing shoes too big. At Gate 12, a TSA-looking guard blocked the exit. "Minors need an adult, sweetheart." Imani froze. Blue, guitar slung across his back, appeared and slid between them like he'd rehearsed. "My baby cousin," he said, voice steady as bass. The guard eyed the lunchbox like it might bite, then waved them through. Blue exhaled. "Girl, you got more lives than cats." Imani managed a grin. "Cats don't carry boxes." Inside Union Station, every sound bounced off vaulted ceilings. Train whistles, suitcase wheels. Somebody's laugh turning into a cough. Imani clutched Mama's note, scanning faces for a woman named Rose she wouldn't recognize. She stopped at the information desk. "Excuse me, Do you know Rose Hazelwood? The agent didn't look up. Try the directory. Imani's throat dried. Blue drummed fingers on his guitar. I'll hunt down my audition. You stick to the plan, lil' sis. He tapped her lunchbox. Stories gotta find ears. Then he disappeared in a river of travelers. Imani wandered until a sea breeze slipped through a cracked door, carrying gull cries and the smell of wet concrete. A street musician on the concourse strummed a fast riff, but the rhythm felt wrong to her. She pulled Hazel's pick from her pocket, stepped forward, and plucked one true note on his spare guitar. Heads turned. She closed her eyes and hummed the lullaby Mama used to sing, soft, bruised, hopeful. The concourse hushed. Coins chimed into the man's cup like silver rain. A woman mopping the marble floor froze mid-swipe, bucket sloshing, eyes wide. Gray streaks framed her face, familiar, frightened. Auntie Rose? Imani barely breathed the words. The mop clattered. Rose stepped closer, knelt to the child's height, hands trembling. Who told you my name? Imani opened the lunchbox, lifted the folded paper, and placed it in Rose's palm. 4 words glowed like sunrise. Find Auntie Rose, Chicago. Rose pressed the note to her lips, tears carving clean trails through dust on her cheeks. Your mama wrote this the night she left town. Said if life turned cruel, her baby would find me. She traced Imani's jaw. You look just like Tasha, but braver. A shout cracked the moment. Blue sprinted from the West Hall waving a flyer. Yo, they bumped my audition up. They need a singer for the hook. His grin faltered when he saw Rose. Imani grabbed his sleeve. She's family. Blue bowed like a church usher. Ma'am. Rose smiled through tears. You the young man saving windows with music? Blue blinked. Word travels. Rose laughed, a sound equal parts thunder and prayer. Union Station got ears. Blue's audition crew set up by the big clock, cameras ready for a live stream. Their lead vocalist lost her voice, so Blue pushed Imani forward. She shook her head, panic rising, but Rose squeezed her shoulders. The world owes you its ears. Imani nodded, gripped the mic with both hands, and let the lullaby bloom into a full-throated hymn about boxes, buses, and girls who don't break. Blue's guitar poured river water beneath her voice. Commuters circled, phones up. Tips filled Blue's case till bills fluttered like trapped doves. When the last chord faded, the producer wiped his eyes. Kid, you just sold 1 million streams. He slipped a business card into Rose's hand. Call me when she's ready. Blue whooped, spinning Imani until her sneakers lifted off the tiles. Outside, lake wind whipped their clothes, but it felt like a hug. Rose unlocked a rust-red pickup. Home's small, she warned, but the love is loud. Imani climbed in, lunchbox on her lap. As they drove past the pier, she opened it one final time. Stones, spoon, washer, ticket stub, pick. Each item gleamed in the rising sun. She lifted the star-shaped pebble, kissed it, and tossed it into the lake. One by one, the rest followed, rippling away like old hurts. Only the guitar pick stayed. She strung it on the pink friendship bracelet and slipped it over her neck. Rose watched in the mirror. Why let them go? Imani leaned back, voice soft but sure. 'Cause a box full of pain can't ride the next bus. Blue nodded slow, steering into the light. The city skyline opened ahead like pages of a brand-new book, and the little girl who once ran barefoot through Jackson streets rode toward it with empty hands, a healed heart, and a song the whole world already knew by name.